Hi everyone and welcome back to Innovaticalls. I am Professor Nikki Eshiaghi from RMIT University and I'm so glad you are joining me again. In our previous episode, part 1 of the secret to winning negotiation, we explored how selling and negotiation are not about manipulation, but about connection, understanding and building trust. Today, in part 2 of this series, we are going to go one step deeper. We are going to learn how to negotiate, not just in theory, but in real situations that you face every day in university and academic life. Negotiation is one of those invisible skills that determine your success far more than you might realize. Whether you are an undergraduate student asking for an extension, a PhD student requesting access to the lab resources, or an early career academic discussing authorship, promotion, or research funding, you are negotiating. In fact, we negotiate every single day. We just don't always recognize it. Let me start with a simple example from the university context. Imagine you are teaching a course and you have been assigned to a new class with twice as many students as last semester, but no extra teaching support. You believe the workload is unreasonable. Now, you could just accept it quietly and struggle through, or you could start a negotiation, respectfully and professionally. You might go to your course coordinator and say, I understand the increase in class size and I am committed to maintaining the same quality of the learning for my student. But to do that effectively, I will need either an additional tutor or a reduction in marking tasks. How can we work together to make that possible? That's a negotiation framed around a shared goal, not conflict. You are not saying, this is unfair. You are saying, here is how we can protect the quality of the teaching. That approach invites collaboration instead of confrontation. So, what makes a great negotiator in academia? It starts with clarity. Know what you want before entering any discussion. Be crystal clear about your goals. If you don't know exactly what success looks like for you, you will easily be persuaded or walk away dissatisfied. For example, when you are applying for a postdoctoral position, don't just say, I want to work with this group. Know specifically what matters to you. Maybe it is the type of research, access to a certain facility, or flexibility to supervise a student. If you go in without that clarity, you might end up in a role that looks good on a paper but doesn't serve your long-term goals. The second thing is equally important. Understand what success means for the other person. Negotiation isn't a solo game, it is a shared process. If you are negotiating with your supervisor for additional funding or authorship, you must understand their priority. Perhaps they are under pressure to publish or manage multiple projects. If you can help them meet their objectives while also meeting yours, you will both win. For instance, you might say, if I take care of the lead on this paper, I can get it ready for submission in 3 weeks. That also helps us meet the department's publication deadline. You are showing that your success supports theirs. That's how real negotiation works, through empathy and alignment. Now, let's talk about setting the tone. The first few minutes of the negotiation often decide the outcome. In academia, it is easy to let emotion or frustration take over, especially when you feel something is unfair. But tone shapes trust. Start calmly. State why you are having the conversation and what outcome you both want. Imagine you are negotiating a new teaching contract. You could begin by saying, I really value the opportunity to continue teaching this course. I would love to discuss how we can make the workload and responsibility sustainable. That tone shows appreciation and professionalism. and it opens the door to constructive dialogue. Another key part of negotiation is attention. Many negotiations fail not because people disagree, but because they don't pay attention. They assume too quickly, they stop listening, or they miss the small details that matter. Let's take a PhD student negotiating access to lab equipment. The lab manager says, you can use the instrument next month, but only during certain hours. The student hears, access is granted, and walk away happy, only to realize later that those hours overlap with their teaching schedule. The problem wasn't unfairness, it was inattention. Always clarify detail before agreeing. Ask, could we review the schedule together? I wanted to make sure it aligned with my availability. That small question can save you weeks of frustration, and that leads us to another crucial emotional intelligence skill in negotiation: listening. You learn far more by listening than by talking. When you allow the other person to speak freely, you will often hear their real motivation, which is rarely what they first express. For example, a colleague might say, I don't have time to help your project. But if you listen carefully, you might realize what they are saying is, I do not see how this benefits me. Once you understand that, you can reframe your offer. I think this work could lead to a joint publication. Would that make collaboration more worthwhile for you? Listening creates bridge, where disagreement once stood. Next comes reasonableness. Negotiation isn't about winning, it's about finding balance. A good deal is when both parties feel they have gained something and given something. In academic collaboration, this is vital. If you push too hard for credit or resources, people might agree once, but they will hesitate to work with you again. Fairness sustains relationship. Aggression destroys them. And if you ever find yourself negotiating something that truly doesn't feel like a win-win, don't be afraid to hold your ground. If a collaboration, authorship arrangement, or workload distribution isn't equitable, it is better to pause than to proceed under resentment. You can respectfully say, I don't think this arrangement reflects the contribution fairly. Maybe we can revisit it once we have more clarity. Setting boundaries doesn't make you difficult, it makes you respected. Now, let's address confidence. One of the biggest barriers early career researchers face in negotiation. Many people don't ask for what they deserve simply because they fear rejection. But remember this, not asking is the same as getting a no. So, ask even if it feels uncomfortable. I once mentored a young lecturer who wanted to apply for promotion but felt she wasn't ready. She had a strong teaching evaluation, successful grants, and several publications, but she hesitated. I encouraged her to prepare a clear case and simply ask for the opportunity to be considered. She did, and she got promoted. She didn't wait for permission. She negotiated for recognition. Confidence grows every time you advocate for yourself. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, keep it human. Negotiation doesn't have to be tense or serious. A little warmth, humor, and playfulness can shift the energy of the room completely. You are dealing with people, not policies. Whether you are speaking to a senior professor or an administrator, being kind, curious, and calm gives you an advantage. People remember how you make them feel far longer than what you say. At its core, negotiation is emotional intelligence in action. It's empathy, self-awareness, and communication, working together to create outcome where everyone can succeed. So, next time you find yourself in a tricky discussion, whether it is about funding, collaboration, deadlines, or authorship, take a deep breath. Clarify what you want, listen deeply, look for common good. The aim isn't to win. It's to build relationships that make success sustainable. If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with the others who might benefit. And if there is a specific negotiation challenge you would like me to explore, perhaps around authorship, funding, or academic roles, let me know in the comments. I might cover it in future episode. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, and keep growing. Because negotiation isn't just about getting what you want. It's about becoming the kind of person who creates mutual success.